In this tutorial we're going to add a simple form to our training website here. I've opened a couple of windows here, but first we'll look at the contact page here where we're going to put our form, and as you can see at the moment there is no form on this page, so we're going to add a form to this page. So let's go into admin. I've already logged in this window, and we're using a premium plugin to add our forms, and this is Gravity Forms, and that's a fantastic plugin that makes adding forms and adding fields to forms really easy, so much so that even anyone can do it. So let's go in and add a new form. Okay, so our form at the moment hasn't got a title, so what we're going to do is we're going to provide the form with a title, and we're going to call it Contact Us Now. Down here we have some text that we can change. I'm going to leave that, but we could change that to make it a bit more serious, maybe a bit more friendly, whatever. Here we have a couple of tabs. We have an Advanced tab and a Confirmation tab. If we look at the Advanced tab, what we can do here is, this is our Submit button. We can either have the default, which includes text, and we can change the text, and I'm going to do that now to something a little bit more friendly than Submit. Or else we could click this button and we could actually have an image. We would have to put the image, the path to the image here on our site. So we could load our button up into our media section and copy the URL that it shows once it's loaded up and paste that here to have an image button instead of our text button. But I'm going to use the default this time. This is a simple form, so we won't go into some of the more complicated areas down there. Confirmation. So what happens after they submit the form? Okay, well what we're going to do is we're going to leave it at the standard, which is we're going to display some text. Thanks for contacting us. We will get in touch with you shortly. And once again, you can change that to anything you want. You could also, after they've completed the form, you could send them to one of the pages on your website. Maybe what you're doing is getting some information before they can get to a page where they can download something after providing that information. So you might want to gather maybe their name and their email address, and once they've hit submit, send them to a particular page on your website. Or maybe you might want to redirect them to a page on another website or somewhere else entirely. However, what we're going to do here is use the text, and we'll use the text that's there. So we've now done our basic setup of our form. Now we're going to add some fields, and the first one we're going to add, we have some up here, we have some standard fields that we can add, and down below we have some advanced fields, some post fields, and some pricing fields if we were setting up a very simple payment form. So we're going to look at the advanced fields here, and the first one we're going to add is name. So just by clicking on that, the name field goes into our form, and once again, if we roll our mouse over that, we can edit this field, and there's a number of options. Our name could be an extended name where it has Mr., Mrs., those sorts of things, or a simple name where in fact it is just the single field there, but we're going to keep it as the normal. Now the other thing that is interesting for us here is we want to make this a required field, so we're going to click required, and that will mean that before they submit the form they will have to have entered something in this field. The next thing we're going to add, which is pretty common here, is an email. So let's just click that, and you'll notice it's adding an email field to that. Once again, if we roll our mouse over here and click edit, we can see that we don't have an awful lot of options here. What we're going to do is we're going to click required on here and make that a required field. Just close that up. What we're going to do is to add a phone field to this form as well. We might want to contact the person by phone, and there's a little trick to those of you who are not from the US here. The phone format comes out, the basic phone format in US standard methodology. So what we normally do is change that to international, and it will accept a variety of different phone number formats. I don't tend to make these required, or even in most cases add a phone field. Some people are reticent to fill that in. So in this case we will add it though, so let's just close that. What we will add after that is just an opportunity for someone to make a comment. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a paragraph text box here. And you can see we have a nice big paragraph text box, and we're going to add some text there to tell them what we're expecting, and maybe all we really need is their name and email, so we're not going to make this a required field as well. So we're going to close that. Now we have a very, very simple form, but I've decided that I perhaps want the phone field above the email field, so I'm going to hold down my mouse here and click on it and hold it down, and I'm going to drag that above the email field. So I'm pretty happy with that layout for a very simple form. So what I'm going to do now is to save my form. Now it's going to say I have a number of things I can do here. I can preview the form, or I can set up email notifications for this form. I can continue editing this form, or I can return to the list of all the forms on the site. What I want to do is I want to set up email notifications to this form. So what this is going to do is allow me to add in where the form is going to be sent to when it's completed. So I'm going to click that button there. Okay, so here we have some email notifications, and this one at the top is where the email will be sent to. So I can set that at anything I want. So I can set that at... Now, the next one is from name. So if the form is emailed to me at that email address, I can set who it's sent from, so I'll see who it's sent from. So I can either type in the name, or I can go to the form fields and click on name. So this is going to pick up the name from the form that has been completed, and it's going to add that there automatically. From email, I want this from the email field. Once again, it's going to pick up the email field from the form that's been completed, and it's going to add that into the from email, and that's cool because when I want to respond to it, if I want to respond to it, it will have the email address from the person who entered the form, so I can respond directly, which is this field here. So if I set that at email, I'm replying to that person. Now we can also copy the form to someone else if we want another person copied on these sorts of forms. Okay, subject. So what this is going to say now is new submission from form title, and remember our form title was contact us now, so that's not very description. So I'm going to change that to something that makes a little bit more sense to me. The message, this is the message here that we will receive, and there's a number of drop down fields which allow us to, if we wanted to provide some information coming through from that form that was completed, we could pick individual fields, but what I want to do is I want all submitted fields, which in this case is already there, so we'll just delete that and we'll show you what clicking that. So what that's saying is the form will deliver to me all of the fields that are filled in on that form in the email it sends to me. Now this down here is quite interesting, and I use this quite a bit. This is notification to user. This is when someone completes the form, you can send them a form saying that, or confirming that they have sent you a form, which is quite a good response. They know it's actually been sent, and it looks very professional. So I can put here a name so they know where the form has come from. I can put my email address so they know where to reply to. Same here. Blind copy, same thing. We can send a copy to somewhere. Insert form fields. So normally I would put something like this. So they know in the title where the email is coming from, and just to let them know what they've told us, I'm going to put something in here very quickly. So once again, all submitted fields. So I'm basically telling them you have told us these sorts of things. So now I can save this form, and I have my form ready. Up here I could go back if I say, oh, all of a sudden I think I've forgotten one of the fields. What I might do is I might add a checkbox. So I'm going to click on the checkbox and I'm going to move that here. So I'm going to edit that. Here I can change the choices. I'm going to add a few here. And if I click this button here, I can add another one. And I'm going to make that a required field, and I'm going to close it, and I'm going to update our form. So you can see that you can come back at any time and add fields if you want, or in fact I could delete that by just clicking there, but I'm not going to do that. Now we've got our form ready, we know where it's going to be sent to, it has all the fields on it that we need, so we're going to go to our pages here and we're going to add it to our page. So the page we wanted to add it to was contact. If I just click to open the page and very simply position my cursor in there, there's no other information on that page. So I'm going to click the little form icon here, select a form. Remember we called it Contact Us Now. I'm not going to display the form title because the page's title is just above it, but I am going to display the form description. Enable Ajax just means that instead of the form refreshing, it'll take their entry and refresh the page, or do it without refreshing the page. So I'm now going to insert the form onto this page. I'm going to click Update. And what we'll do is we'll go to our contact page. We have to refresh here because we've just added some content to the page. Okay, so here is our finished form, and you can see there that little asterisk means this is a mandatory field, so I'm going to type my name in there. You notice I can tab through the fields. I don't have to enter my phone, it's not a mandatory field, so I'm going to leave that. I do have to enter my email address, so I'm going to do that. Not the same one that I'm sending to though, because that wouldn't make a lot of sense. Okay, this is a mandatory field, but I'm going to leave that and show you what happens. And notice there's our text with a button background, which is the default. So there you go, it said there's a problem with your form submission, errors have been highlighted, and it's saying you really need to fill this out. So I've heard of it via a Google search, so I'm going to Contact Us Now, click it again, and you'll see my form has been submitted, and there's the little message that we put into the form to say that it had been submitted. So that's building a very simple form with the Gravity Forms plugin. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial.